Hey guys, Blackwatch here. I had to switch to new solid state drive and reinstall everything, so it's my first attempt kind of recording everything. Hoping everything turns out okay, but I did a couple of tests and they seem fine, but we'll see what everything looks like when I finish rendering it. I didn't really know what to do for this video. I didn't necessarily want to get into too much price action because I don't know. It just feels like the same thing over and over again. If you guys are looking for concepts or just videos on entries or management or POI selection, all that stuff, like we have thousands of videos on it. I've been doing videos every week for the last, I don't know, 2 years or so. So there's hundreds of videos. But you know, the other day, I think it was last Friday, I gave like a small assignment. I was hoping for a bigger turnout, but I'm proud of the guys that did actually put themselves out there and put down some of their issues that they're facing. I kind of asked everybody to think through what these issues are and what kind of actionable items you can actually take to kind of combat some of these issues. Most of the issues that I'm seeing they're just common amongst all of our traders and just traders in general. A lot of it has to do with the emotional state of things, panicking or like just being impatient, not necessarily setting yourself up for success. And I thought I'd go through a couple of these. I hope you guys don't mind. I figured if you put them in the public Discord, you didn't mind if I go over this anyways. If you do mind, just shoot me a DM and I'll take the video down or something. But I thought I'd go through it. We don't necessarily have to look at who it belongs to, but yeah. So we'll go through the problems, some of the causes, just because I want everybody to see that everybody kind of suffers from the same kind of things, and you're always going to suffer from different obstacles at different points in your journey. So like a beginning trader is going to have kind of the same obstacles as most other beginning traders, and intermediate traders can have the same, and then expert, etc. Right? Like you never get to the point where all your problems are gone, right? You just don't. I still suffer on occasion from overtrading. It's just the way it is, right? Now my overtrading might be slightly different than somebody else's who's taking like 20 trades or 15 trades in a day. I might take like 3, 4, 5 trades in a day, and for me that's way too much. It doesn't happen often because I'm aware of the problem. I know how to combat it. But it doesn't change the fact that it still pops up. I still suffer from greed. I came up with the concepts of internal range liquidity and catalyst for pullbacks so I could get into the market more and to hold trades longer. That doesn't always play out for me. It has a high probability, right? But at the same time, I could have easily just taken profits at certain levels and just been happy with it. But that's just the way it is. Like one of the problems I always tried to solve was, how do I hold through pullbacks? Price always continues. It always goes to the determined POI or high or low that I analyzed earlier in the week or during the day, and price always goes there. But when I'm sitting there and I have pullbacks, I used to just close the trade out of fear, which I know a lot of people do now, right? But I combated that with these concepts. I've ingrained them into my soul, and now that's all it could be for me, when sometimes that's maybe not the best play, right? It doesn't matter, right? All these different kind of things happen, and it's our job as traders, like we'll hit a certain level, right, where you go from really low strike rate, a lot of losses, you're kind of figuring out your strategy, you're building out your plan, you're figuring out the best times to trade, and you go from that to taking slightly less losses, a couple more winners. You focus on making sure that those losses are small, so your risk management's on point, right? That's transitioning from a beginner to an intermediate trader, right? Risk management, trade management in general, like not trading too much, and then you go from there, and then you become slightly more consistent, right? So where you'll have slightly green weeks, slightly green months, maybe before it was like 2 or 1 or maybe even 0 days out of the week, you'd be red or you'd be green. Then you slowly start to shift where you have 2 or 3 days out of the week are green. And then next thing you know, you're starting to see more consistency in that your winners are bigger and you're having more winning trading days, right? Because you're going into your system, you're eliminating the stuff that doesn't work. Maybe it's trading times, trading sessions, certain time frames that don't work well for you. Maybe like the 1 minute doesn't work well for you. You're going in and you're assessing all this data over like a 3 to 6 month period, and you're simply eliminating things that don't work, doubling down on things that do. That's how you're going to shift from an intermediate trader to an expert trader, right? And that's kind of where we want to take everybody. And one of those things is writing down some of these problems that you have, making yourself aware of them, articulating them, because then it brings it to light, right? It's kind of like holding up a mirror to yourself. Your face might have like a bunch of food all over it. You're unaware of it until somebody tells you, or you have a mirror and you're looking and you're like, holy shit, let me clean this up. It's kind of the same thing. You guys all have dirty faces. Hold up a mirror. Now you can see it. Now you can wipe it off. Now you can go through the streets looking like a normal person, right? So we'll kind of go through this first one. Just kind of, I'm not going to go in like too deep, but maybe I'll look at some of the problems and I'll just kind of think out loud. And I don't know. I hope this helps. Again, if you want to look at PA and stuff, just check out the other videos. There's plenty of that. We have live sessions every single week. 2 of them, 3 of them with the back testing. So you guys have plenty of technical trading content. All right. So again, I'm not going to say who this is or whatever, but some of the problems that they're facing with, like, okay, they're panicking on trades. Okay. So, the cause says you're not feeling prepared. All right. So his solution is go through my checklist, right? We obviously don't know what that is. Hopefully it's thorough and specific. Be neutral with money. The market has no feelings. Exactly. Yeah. So that's the thing, right? At the end of the day, the market will do whatever the hell the market's going to do. We have zero control over what that is. It doesn't matter what our bias is. The market will move in that direction, right? So when you're talking about not being prepared, right? This is where routines come into play. Everybody's routine is going to be different. It just has to be, right? You need to have some sort of routine, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the whole, I wake up, I meditate, I do this, I do that, I do that. Right? Your routine needs to be revolved around trading, right? Specifically, that needs to be set in stone. Like, what do you do when you first sit at your desk and you're analyzing the market, right? What are you looking for first? What's your routine? For me, it's always going to be, I get on my charts, I start at the weekly. Doesn't matter if it's Monday and then Tuesday. The weekly hasn't moved much. Still on the weekly. For some reason, that helps me kind of assess the overall market direction, and then just kind of like, it just gears my mind to decide how I want to trade for the day, because I make a plan for the day. So weekly, daily, 4 hour, right? 4 hour structure, 4 hour POIs. I'll try to mark all that up, and then I'll try to figure out what my liquidity is. And then from there, right, I'll have a split view. So live market, so 4 hour on the left side, 15 minute on the right side, or 5 minutes sometimes, depending on how the 15 minutes looking. And what I'm going from there is I'm determining market direction. I want to understand for today specifically, I would like to catch shorts from this POI. We're either in this POI or we hit it in London because I'm a New York trader, or we're about to hit this POI, right? How much time do I have in my day? How often, like, this is data that you'll get through experiences, but like how often or how long does it take price to generally develop out of or into and out of like a 4 hour POI, something like that, right? And then I have a general idea. It's like, okay, I think based on my analysis, if I take longs, I'm counter trend, right? But there's a higher probability of longs playing out today because of XYZ. So I write that down, I plan it out. If price can make it to said POI, 4 hour, whatever, I will then write that down saying I will focus on shorts if I get XYZ, right? So when price is playing out, I have a couple of different plans that I can look at and kind of reference, and it's just already in my head. So I kind of know what I want price to do in either situation, right? So that way I can be on the right side of the market and give it my best shot to get in on either a counter trend move or a pro trend move. If it's pro trend, probably be a little bit more aggressive to make sure I do get in. So potentially more risk entries, allowing price to develop, and then scaling in on my confirmations, stuff like that. So that's how I prepare. Something similar might be good for you, but essentially higher time frame, market direction, POI selection, figure out what direction I want to trade for the day, which one is counter trend, which one is pro trend, what should I focus on, etc. Right? TP zones, liquidity, POI, stuff like that. All right, next thing, don't ask questions or send markups in Discord. Okay. Causes insecurity, fear of being judged. Believe me, man, every time I get on one of these videos and I start talking, every time I hit render on my videos and I upload it, I worry that something, somebody's going to say like, hey, this is wrong, or that's not right, or whatever. You get used to it, put it out there, build a habit out of it, understand that it's only going to benefit you, right? Because, not for nothing, but when you join a community like this, when you're trading with peers, you want to be judged. You want people to pick apart what you're doing, but you want the right people to do it, right? You don't want people who've been here for like 2 days, or like, oh, I'm a SMC guru from XYZ community, I just joined yesterday, I know everything there is to know, but I'm here because whatever. It's like, you're here because you're not making money and you're in the same boat as everybody else, right? Nobody cares. Don't worry about it. Put it in there. You don't have to do it all the time, but do it like once a week or something like that, right? Just make sure that it's clear, concise, annotated properly, so that way when we do look at it, we can actually give feedback, right? Okay, yeah, everybody's in the same process. Good to give feedback and help from the community. Yeah. Still on demo. I don't know what still means. Like, are you on demo for like the last 6 years, 5 years, 4 years, 2 years, 3 months, 4 months? What I would say is that demo is okay. I'm not against demo. I think demo is good, but it has to have an expiration date. It can't be, it just can't be something that you do for a long period of time, because you will develop bad habits, 100% bad habits. And the only way to develop the good habits and kind of filter through the emotional demons that you'll have is to trade live, right? You can do small accounts, you can do big accounts, just risk small, because all you're trying to build consistency. Demo, unfortunately, it just won't do it. You're not going to feel or see the same sort of obstacles that you would on a demo, that you would on a live account. So have an expiration date. Give yourself a goal. Let's say, for instance, you're just you've been trading for a year or something like that. You're on demo still. Give yourself 6 months. Give yourself 9 months. Give yourself 1 year, but not too much longer than that. I would say 6 months to 9 months is a sweet spot. And then articulate your goals. Like, understand, tell yourself that you're going for, on this specific date here, I will get off demo. So everything that I need to learn before that, all the data that I need to collect so I can analyze before that to determine my profitable system, I have to have it done by this date. It'll light a little bit of a fire under your ass. Your step towards that goal will be slightly more structured. I think that would be a good idea. All right. Have difficult to read story in the lower time frame. Lack of understanding. Maybe go back 2 videos, of course. The best thing you can do, honestly, is if you have a general broad understanding of market structure and POI selection, right? Focus hard on liquidity. And then what you want to do from there is just chart time. Honestly, just chart time. It's kind of like, what's a good analogy? It's like cooking, right? Or playing, I don't know, piano, right? You can't just watch somebody do it. You can't watch this video, right? You can't watch the videos and then go to the piano or start cooking. Like, it's not going to happen. The only way it's going to happen is through experience. So you have to put yourself out there, and you got to actually just kind of make it happen. Let's look at the next one. Okay, here's another one. Problems not getting into trade. All right, into trades. Okay, hesitation, Can only focus for 2 hours. Not confident about 15-minute limits, so risk entries. Scared of losing. Okay. Over pressure. Okay. Set alerts. Sure. Target small, 1 to 2 trades a day. Yeah, that's good. Don't take whatever is available. Make sure it's specific to your plan. The way we trade, there's a lot of ways that you can find an entry. You have to make sure that it's specific to exactly the data you've collected and what you personally find profitable. So, you know, what I want you to do is if you're not getting the trades due to hesitation, right, that I would want you to, if you're not already, trade a live market, right? Understand that whatever you're risking isn't going to be life or death. And if it is life or death, you really shouldn't be trading it, right? This should be money that you can afford to lose, right? Focusing for 2 hours, that's not a problem. It depends on what 2 hours we're talking about here, right? So I want you to, if you can, determine a 2 hour window inside, you know, London or New York or the overlap. Determine a 2 hour window that you can focus in at prime trading times. And then just make sure you give yourself a distraction-free kind of environment. So, you know, put your phone in another room. I have a like a catch-all, like a key catch outside my door. I'll leave my phone in there and then come in the room. So as I enter my office, my phone's gone already, and I'm in my office, right? So stuff like that really helps. One thing you could also do is if you wanted to, if you're on a PC or a Mac, you could just create a brand new user account with TradingView, MT4, Spotify, and that's it, right? Install nothing else. And that's your trading session. So that'd be good. In terms of having confidence in setting risk orders, you know, that's chart time. Again, a lot of chart time is going to do it. But you also need to practice just the art of execution, right? Some of them aren't going to work. And this goes into this being scared of losing. Like, the average strike rate of a consistently profitable trader that's not a scalper. Scalpers usually have higher strike rates, but they also have very low expectancy. Is probably like 40%, 30%, 50%, somewhere in that ballpark, right? You're not meant to win every trade. You're supposed to lose. But what you really need to do is you need to make sure that your risk is minimal. So if you're risking 0.5% and you don't like losing that amount of money, you need to reduce your risk. Reduce it until it doesn't feel scary anymore. And then over the next couple of years, you can work on scaling up, right? Scaling your risk up, right? You don't necessarily have to go balls to the walls right away, but you have to understand that your upside is going to be capped, right? Your profits are going to be slightly less, but you know, it's better than, you know, having anxiety every time you go into the market. So, you know, try that out and see if that works for you. Let's see. All right, here's some more problems. So, all right, not adhering to time blocks and getting behind on work. Is that trading related or like work, like your actual job? Losing focus during work and study periods, not getting projects done during time blocks. Okay, no discipline, losing track of time, allowing projects to bleed over allocated time period, distracted by Discord. Just close Discord. Discord doesn't do anything for you. Like if you need something from Discord, it should be, hey, can you look at my end of day markups? Oh, I need to check this reference or the FAQ channel for something specific, right? There's nothing in Discord from the day-to-day basis during live markets that is really beneficial to you. Maybe there it is, but usually not, right? If you're still learning to trade, most people, I don't know if this is you, but most people are easily persuaded by others' opinions, whether a trade is good or not. You might be totally set on it, might check off every single box, but somebody will be like, oh, I'm bullish. And you're like, oh shit, I was thinking about shorting that, right? Two things are gonna happen. You're not gonna have confidence in your trade, and the trade's either gonna play in your favor and you're gonna miss the trade, or they're gonna be right. right? Either way, it's like a total gamble. It's just not a good idea. So just close Discord. It doesn't do anything for you. Yeah, Clash Royale, I don't know, dude. Just probably delete it or do the same thing I said before. Just put your phone out of the room, right? It's trading time, right? You have to remember, you know, you are your own boss, right? And it's much more complicated than just saying that. I know there's a lot of people on YouTube, you know, like, oh, you gotta be your own boss and blah blah. It's like generic bullshit nonsense, right? When you're your own boss, you're that means you're managing a company. You're managing your business, right? So that means project management, time management, finances, delegation. There's all these different things, right, that you have to focus on, but you're one person. So you need to silo all these different sections and determine how you can achieve each of these things systematically and professionally in your trading window, right? So time management wise, right, what you need to do is go into your phone. If you have an iOS device, I don't know about Android, but iOS, you can go in, you can look at screen time. It's in the settings, and look at how much time you're spending on social media, browsing the web, whatever, right? You need to look at that and be like, I you know, I've asked a couple different people, and usually the average is like 10 to 12, sometimes lower, like 8, 6, whatever hours a day on stuff that does not help them achieve their goals, right? It just doesn't. And no one's going to hold your hand. Nobody's coming to knock that phone out of your hand and say like, hey, put that game down. Like, nobody's going to do it. You just have to be on top of yourself. You have to be like fully cognizant of it. If you find yourself getting into one of those habits, what you need to do is you need to figure out a way to snap yourself out of it. Some people do like very simple things, like they'll just count like 1, 2, 3. And it's like something about it triggers something where it says, okay, let me shift, do what I'm supposed to do, right? Some people literally just snap their fingers a couple of times. Like there's some kind of pattern, right? Some people like to do certain things that will trigger a response that will cut off a certain action, right? Figure something out that works for you, right? As soon as you have that thought in your head, like I shouldn't be doing this, do that thing, 1, 2, 3, right? Punch your desk. I don't know. Do something that you can do all the time that is so clear and distinct that it'll break your train of thought. It's like you're almost hypnotized by this stuff. Because you got to remember, social media is developed by psychologists. Like on the back end, they hire people. How do we make this the most addictive thing possible? How do we get these people to stay on it all the time, right? It's literally made to suck you in, right? You just got to figure out how to get out of it. Anyway, that was a tangent. This whole thing's a tangent. Yeah, anyways. So, you know, what you can do is you can allocate your time, right? You can work on time management. What you can do is you can take a bunch of post-it notes, right? Get some yellow ones, get some blue ones. Yellow ones are hour-long blocks. Blue ones are half-hour blocks, right? Write down every single average day-to-day task that you do, right? And give yourself, right? There's only 24 hours in a day, right? Make sure that you accurately, you know, allocate how much time you're sleeping, right? And how much time you're awake. Of that awake time, how much time are you spending on X, Y, Z, whatever, right? And then I want you to look at it, and you have to be really specific. It can't be broad. It can't be like work. Like, okay, what did you do specifically for work when you studied? Okay, cool, you studied. What did you specifically study? Say I studied 15-minute structure. I studied 4-hour structure, right? How long, right? 2 hours a day, 1 hour a day, 3 hour a day, right? When you set certain goals for that time allocation, say, look, I want to be, you know, focusing on studying for at least 3 hours a day. Okay, so where can I remove some of these post-it notes with some other shit that doesn't help me get to my goal? Where can I reallocate that time, right? Okay, playing Clash of Clans. How long am I actually playing that? Look at the iOS app, see how long you're spending on it. If it's like 2 hours a day, cut out like an hour of that, right? Cut out an hour and a half of that. Cut out the whole thing. Reallocate those 2 hours to studying, right? That's kind of how it works. It's a little bit more involved, but I can't go through it now, but you get the gist. All right, solutions that you have. Close Discord. Yep, perfect. D&D, yeah, it doesn't work. Customize notifications. I'm telling you, man, the focus mode on iOS, really helpful. Set a schedule for it, right? I don't do any manual focus modes. I don't press any of them manually unless I'm doing a YouTube video, which I haven't done in forever. Everything's automated by time, right? So as soon as my trading window hits, my focus mode turns on automatically. I don't do anything else for it, right? If my phone is here anyway, it's usually outside now, but all right, trying to multitask multiple projects. Look, here's the thing, man. This again is where organization comes into play. If you're working on different things, right? If you have your own business, if you're working for somebody else, Robbie, your time is not your own, right? If you are an employee somewhere else, your time, it just isn't yours, right? That's not how it works. But what you can do is make sure that you're only doing what is asked of you, right? Don't go above and beyond, because you don't get paid for above and beyond. You only get paid for what your responsibilities are, right? So make sure that your effort, your focus, your mental capacity is reserved for your goals, for the things that you actually want to do in life, right? When you are able to take back some of your time, right? Maybe that's through trading, maybe get funding, or maybe you spend your nights working, that kind of stuff, on trading, that kind of thing. Just make sure it's, organized, structured, and it's just done properly, right? What you want to do, if you can, is set those time blocks, right? So if you made time blocks, you gotta stick to them. Put them in a calendar on your phone, have alerts go off, right? But again, this is more of a probably self-discipline kind of issue, which is tough. It is tough because, again, nobody can really do anything for you. You probably already know what to do, right? Most of you probably already know what to do. It's just a matter of actually doing it. That's a tough one. Sometimes accountability helps. Getting an accountability partner, that would be probably a good recommendation. Making sure that somebody's holding you up to, what you're supposed to be doing, whether it's end of day markups, etc. That might be good. How long is this video? I feel like I've been rambling for hours. 20 minutes, 30 minutes. All right. Okay, so that was time management stuff. Then you have trading specific problems. Disregarding the higher time frame attention, losing track of the current fractal narrative. All right, focusing too much on the mid time frame, lower time frame, tunnel vision, intraday. Yeah. Start each day from top-down analysis weekly. Yeah, just like I said before, record a story, a pre-session journal for each time frame, develop a planned bias for the day based on that information. It's exactly what I just said before. Just follow that. See, again, you already know what to do. You just got to do it. The thing is, you just have to do it. And when you start seeing the progress, and you'll start seeing how it affects your trading, you'll continue to do it. But if you do it and then your time management sucks for the rest of the day, then your pre-market stuff isn't going to matter, because you'll associate your results with just everything you did before it. So you have to make sure that everything else is solid. You're getting FOMO. Yeah. FOMO on trades, trading past session time. Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. If you're just sitting at your desk all the time, it's easy to take trades when you shouldn't. Yeah, watching other people's trades in GHI, just like I said, being greedy, trying to maximize R. There's nothing wrong with maximizing R, but you have to make sure that everything else is done first, right? So scaling up, getting the most out of the market is the second step. The first step is just pure plain consistency. That's all it is. Most people want to size up before they get consistency, and that's where everything goes wrong. Consistency has to be first. It has to be. It doesn't matter what size you're trading. Just make sure that, or capital you're trading, just make sure that risk is small, build consistency, And a lot of that, again, is going to come from 3 to 6 months worth of data collection, whether it's backtesting or live. Both is good. Determine every single aspect of your plan. What works, what doesn't work, eliminate what doesn't work, double down on what does work. That's the recipe. It just is. Revenge trading, emotional spiraling, perfectionist mindset. Yep, attaching ego to the trade outcome. That I need attaching ego to the trade outcome. I need that one explained to me. That one doesn't. It never really computes with me. I don't understand it. Not having a solid risk management plan. That's interesting. Run the scheme statistics, detach your ego from trading. Limit 4 losses to max. Yep. One thing you could also do is, instead of doing 4 losses a day or 2% drawdown a day, when you're building that consistency, is switch day to week. 4 losses a week, 2% max DD for the week. It'll really build up your patience, and it will make you focus on high probability stuff only, which you're only going to find through the higher time frame narrative, which you have an issue with, as stated before. So, all right, sitting on the 1 minute for too long, losing track where price is on 15. Yeah, I mean, again, split screen, 4 hour, 15 minute. Only go to the 1 minute when price hits your 15-minute POI. That'll solve an absolute shit ton of issues. Not getting tagged on trades, stopping out due to spread. Not counting to spread. So I'm assuming that means your stop loss is just too tight, getting greedy and trying to get the maximum R. Yeah. I mean, this is why we're doing this exercise in general. It's like, you know what your problems are, you know exactly what's causing them, you know exactly what to do to fix them. Now the tricky part is actually, taking action on the solutions. What's going to hold you accountable? Right now, it's only going to be you, unless you find somebody, right? If you really wanted to, guys, because I know there's only a handful of people that did these. Reach out to one another, right? And just be like, hey, I know what your problems are now. I know what solutions that you're trying to do. Is it cool if I share with you mine? And, can you just check in with me, and I'll check in with you and just see how we did on these specific problems for the day. Or if I feel like, hey, I have this problem, and, it really kind of, I hit this problem pretty hard today. Let's chat about it. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's totally fine. This isn't an individual sport until you're making money. You know what I mean? Right now, there's tons of prop firms and hedge funds that trade as a team, right? There's plenty of people who do that. There's nothing wrong with that, right? They have risk managers. They have people that will sit there and be like, oh, you're locked out for the day because you've already taken too much loss, right? They'll lock you out of your account. You literally cannot trade. Or if you're already in some trades and you want to trade more, you got to go ask them for permission to open up more margin for you, right? They'll shut you off, right? We don't have the luxury of somebody managing us, right? It's all on us, right? So the most you can do right now is find somebody to be your accountability partner and chat with them. And the guys who submitted this, I would recommend that you talk to the other guys who submitted this, because you already know they're on the same level as you in terms of wanting to fix these problems. There's a lot of people in here that may have wrote this stuff up but didn't submit it, and that's totally fine too. You guys reach out too. And then there's people who just straight up didn't do it. And again, I did expect a lot more people to do it, but it's just one of those things, right? You got to take action. You have to. And if you watch this now and you've gotten through all this rambling at 34 minutes in, feel free to submit it again. Maybe I'll put a reminder out there, but I do want to see more of this, because one, you guys need to see that everybody's got the same issues, right? You also need to, we need some accountability, so that way, you guys can get some help, right? Because I mean, if you could have done it by yourself already, right, you would have done it, right? You would have done it already. I don't think any of you guys have sit here with these solutions and be like, oh, these are new problems that just happened this week. You know what I mean? Yeah, they've been there for a while. So, all right, let's see. Let's see, what's this one? Oh, I like your handwriting. All right, let's see. Problems, FOMO, watching other people winning trades. Yeah. Solution, understand you're still on your journey. Yes, everybody is on a different timeline, right? And everybody has different setups. I mean, to an extent, obviously we all trade the same, but everybody's going to see the market slightly differently. It just is what it is, right? Certain demand zones will stick out to somebody else, right? Usually you want these trades to slap you in the face. They need to be pretty obvious. 2 gear, thinking this trade setup is the one. Yeah. You know what though? That's not a terrible thing, because that means you have conviction, right? You just have to sometimes go in, unless it's not actually a good setup, right? So there's a difference there, right? But if the setup is there and it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, right? Have an idea of what your higher time frame narrative is and what direction you want to trade. Get in, right? And stay in. If you take a loss, right, and it sets up again, take it again. It's okay, right? You obviously need to limit yourself to an extent, but if you only have a 2-hour trading window, which for the most part people should stick to something like a 2 to 3 max 4-hour trading window, right? Then there's going to be times where you need to get in. You might get slipped, or not slipped. You might get swept, and you might take an L, but you're like, oh shit, I didn't see this supply zone right here. This one makes more sense. I got in a little bit early, right? Get in, right? Because at the end of the day, you will not make money if you are not committed to the trade idea. If the trade idea in general is not good and the setup is not actually there, then yeah, of course, you need to revisit the playbook and make sure that's all good. But if it is there and it makes sense, hit it. You got to hit it. Even if it's you can do risk entry if you want to. I like risk entries, but doubting yourself and experience as a trader, keep working hard. Yeah, that's just it. Experience, market experience, live execution. Don't compare yourself to others in terms of their analysis or their progression. Just none of that ever does anything for anybody. I have this magical power of just ignoring everything around me. Literally nobody else exists. It doesn't matter if I'm around the best traders in the industry, their analysis, it's cool to have some kind of confirmation, oh yeah, I'm looking for longs too, or I'm looking for shorts too. Nothing outside of that really else. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Try to have that mindset, right? Because you have to get to the point where you can trust yourself. But that's only going to come through experience. Rushing the process, needing freedom from my current job. Yeah. Currency trading is not going away anytime soon. I freaking hope not, but there's a lot of crazy shit going on in the world. Who knows what's going to happen, but it should be fine. But yeah, a lot of people, again, they want to get out of their 9 to 5. And the best thing, well, maybe not the best thing, best is subjective. It's going to be, what I like to think is a good idea, is to take your salary, your annual salary, break it down by month, or by quarter first, then by month, and if you want to, by week, and set goals, right? At first, what would be good is if you're, let's flat number, 100,000, whatever, right? Not a lot of people are making that. It's just an example, right? And let's say you're making about 12 grand a month or whatever. And you are making, let's just say, what's the best way to do this? Essentially what you want to do is you want to break down by the quarter, by the month, by the week, right? Determine what your target is. If you're trading, right? You want to hit a certain level, a certain percent of that target. And then eventually you want to start increasing that number, right? So you want to say, let me try to hit, if I need to make whatever, $1,000 a week, right? Let me see if I can make $200 a week, right? and then do that for a couple months consistently, or a couple weeks consistently. Like, okay, let me see if I can increase it from 200 to like 500, right? Start hitting these little targets, all right? And then from there, see if you can pump it up to 1,000, right? Because what you're essentially doing is you're slowly replacing or supplementing your salary and your income. When you get to the point when you are matching, right, then you can start thinking about hitting targets above that level, so that way you can start replacing your income, right? When you get to the point where you are matching or at like 60-70%, whatever you can live off of reasonably and save up enough to have 6 months of finances or a year of finances covered, then you can start talking about leaving your job. You know, I talked to one of the funded traders, and he was like, as soon as I get my funding, I'm leaving my job, or something like that. He just really wanted to leave his job. And I recommended that he stay there for 3 months, right? Don't rush it, right? Because you're putting a lot of pressure yourself on. Obviously, you got to get to that level first, but what you want to do is you want to essentially give yourself enough time, right, to start replacing your income, right? Slowly but surely, just supplementing and then replacing, and then you can think about leaving your job, right? But you don't want to just quit your job as soon as you get funding, right? It's never a good idea, because at the end of the day, funding is great, but they're very strict. There's a lot of restrictions on it, right? If you accidentally trade news and blow all of your income or your ability to make income, what would you do, right? You want to save up money, risk small, supplement, then replace. All right. Emotions, losing trades. Understand the market owes you nothing. It's part of the process. Focus on long-term goals. Yep. Kind of discussed that a little bit already. Let's see. Whoa, what the hell is this? This looks nice. Interesting. All right, problems. Overtrading. What time is it? Okay, I'll probably cut this off after this one. If I didn't get to, you know, my bad, but I'm not as clear as concise if I want to. To be fair, I don't even know if I could read some of these other ones. I'll go through them quickly. All right, so problem, overtrading. Root cause, overconfident. Okay. FOMO. Getting FOMO because you're in equity, okay, or in drawdown, yeah, sure. Emotionally negative, fear, greed, anger, yeah, fear, negative perception. Results oriented, money attached, materialistic, okay. Greed, overconfident, target moon, forex math, yep. Anger, lose trade and money, took invalid setups, losing streaks, demoralized. Okay. Solutions, remind yourself to stay humble, neutral. Yep. Market is neutral, staying power and facts. Okay. So the problems and the root causes make sense. The solutions, I can't say are quite where they need to be. One of them is have a money management rule for drawdown of 2%. That's good. That's what I want to see. I want to see more actionable type items, right? It's good to have affirmations. It's good to have like these general concepts and ideas behind things, but you need to have things that you can actually execute, right? So if you're having fear, greed, anger, right, you're FOMOing out, how do you actually prevent that? Like, what do you, as you know, well, I can't, sorry, I even look at whose name this was. Well, you know her. I don't want to say anybody's name, but everybody can look at it anyways. But what are you as an individual, right? As someone who is responsible for their entire business, right? Their trading business. What are you doing to actively combat these issues, right? Those are the kind of solutions that I want to see, right? You know, like overtrading, overconfidence, right? Remind yourself that it's going to happen. It's a really hard one to break. Honestly, personally, that's the way I see it. I'm sure there's some people who are just like, no problem. I've always combated it. I've gotten way better than I was before, but it doesn't change the fact that every now and again I slip up, because that's just the way it works, right? We're all human. We have human tendencies. We fall back into old habits. The biggest thing is to see it and to correct it, right? So for me personally, right, if I find myself over trading, I know this because I have to journal my trades, right? If I don't journal my trades, right, then I cannot assess my progress, right? It's not just about looking at my balance growing. My balance could grow, but I could have taken a really shitty trade and risked too much, right? Let's say I risked, like whatever, this is an example. Let's say I risked 5% on a trade, but I made 6%, right? On paper, 6% looks really good. But then if I realize that I actually over risked, and if it had gone against me, I would have lost $5,000. So risking, or 5%. If I had risked 5% for 6%, that's a shit trade. That's really, really bad. But I won the trade and I made 6%, so it looks really good, right? So that's why you have to track other stats. Journaling's super important. These are the kind of things, like, I'm lazy. I don't want to journal 10 trades a day, right? I don't want to do that. Nobody wants to do that. And that's why nobody really journals at all, because there's just too much data to process. You got to hit the entry, you got to hit the stop loss, you got to hit the TP, you got to do the time of the day, you got to do the day of the week, you got to do the pair, you got to do this, you got to do that. Nobody wants to do that for long periods of time, right? It's just too time consuming, right? So trading less is a good thing. Also, having a very specific trading window, right? So when you're going to attack this problem, determine a very specific trading window that you will trade from. Have a very specific trading model or setup, or handful of setups, maybe 2 or 3 setups, that you're going to trade from, right? Have very specific POIs that you'll trade from. Have very specific confirmations that you'll trade from, right? Have specific times that you will not trade from, right? Understand, like, oh, well, today's a high impact news day, I'm going to stay out of the market. Or today's a high impact news day, I'm going to get into the market, because news fuels the market and I could do really well here, right? If I can get in early enough and stay far away enough from my entry, or price can. Those are the kind of things that are going to switch everybody from a beginner to an intermediate, from an intermediate to an expert. These are the things that you just have to tackle, right? But everybody's going to have the same problems. Everybody's going to be at different points in resolving that issue. It's just a matter of getting it on paper, knowing what it is, understanding the cause of it, and then what solutions you're going to take to combat it, and then actively going after it, right? So I hope you guys got some kind of value out of this. Hopefully I didn't say a bunch of nonsense for the last hour, but yeah. Did I take a trade? Oh, let me show you. I took a trade today. I'll show you real quick. What time is it here? Sorry. Let me start the 4. Blah 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 blah. Hit the 4-hour POI. Supply. Right. We had this structure. I don't know if I'd call it structure, but we had demand go here, right? And we pushed into this level after that broke. And what did this basically hit this entire range right here, right? Right, again, just justifying reaction. I didn't trade long here, I traded short from up here. But this is kind of what was happening here. So we took this 4-hour low, and we took this 4-hour high, and then we hit supply, which is now held. This is part of this flip zone. Right, that's the reaction. Right, and then generally speaking, we're bearish. We hit 4-hour liquidity here, 4-hour POI here, and we started dropping. We hit this higher time frame demand, but overall, again, we're still bearish. We still have supply holding, right? So let's go to the 15. Right, price came up. We barely sweep this 4-hour high just by like a tick, right? And then we started to show some bearish intention off the POI itself. Now, obviously, we had this guy here, right? This was our high that broke. This was our bullish push to the upside. And then this is all basically substructure within this. I'm going to go ahead and just mark that up. Right, so we have that reaction right there. Price came up. Supply very much in control from here off the 4-hour POI. Right, we had supply, 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 supply. Right. This, that. Then we had the sweep right here. I don't remember exactly where I traded from, to be fair. I'm winging this as always. All right, so yeah, we had 4-hour or 15-minute, right? Structure breaks, substructure breaks. Here, there, right there. Generally speaking, the lows are going, supply is holding. When I got to the market around 6 a.m. or so, yeah, somewhere around here, and we took this low, right? I was just happy to say if price hits supply and this 4-hour wants to do its thing, this low should go. So I will look for a 4-hour, or I'll look for a POI within this to trade from in here. And I took a short in here. So look at this. There's a big wick on this 15-minute after that sweep. So I went to the 5-minute just to get a little bit better POI. And what I ended up taking was basically I just narrowed this down right there, right? It's nothing super specific. It's just I had this window of imbalance here and I had this bigger range up here after the sweep. And I just kind of wanted to see what I would get from here, right? So when I saw that and I saw this logo and I saw this reaction to this demand, I basically told myself, look, it's either going to do one of two things. It's either going to pump through this because this demand's going to hold because I think it's a 4-hour buy to sell. Yeah, sort of. I mean, this whole thing's a buy to sell. But I knew that there was demand there, right? Based on this range, based on this 15-minute structure going right here. Right, so I had a lot of reason for price to trade back up into this zone, right? Whether or not it was going to hold or not was debatable. So after that, I went into the 1-minute. And price was, I woke up, just getting the kids ready. I woke up around here, 6:30, I think it was, right? Price just absolutely melted. I'm not sure if there was news there. It was 80 pips, jeez. And then price started to push back up into the supply here, right? So based on that 15-minute structure, I was happy to take shorts. Based on the 4-hour reaction here and then the supply holding throughout this, our chain, I was happy. And then we took this liquidity, hit this supply right here as well, right? This is part of another supply chain. This taps into, looks like this whole range, right? Whatever. Right, we hit the supply chain here. The lows are going. I wanted to short it, right? First things first, price came up. We had this big push up here that took that liquidity. Price came back down, right? And then it pushed up, right? So we had a slight sweep right there. And then price came down, kind of broke the substructure, and then took out these demand zones here, this demand right here. And then when it pushed back up, failed to take out the high. So again, supply is just holding, right? And then price pushed back down. So at this point, what I did was I took 2 risk entries, right? I sort of like the way that this one was looking right here. So this is the initial area that I took the trade from. So I had demand, right? And I think I had that as my reaction. It's like, okay, cool. Little inside bar right there, inside bar right here. I was like, I'll call this my sweep. I don't think it was the best setup. It didn't work out, but it's kind of like I was saying earlier, right? If you think the setup's good, if you like the way it's looking, it's in the POI itself, right? I'm bearish. Let me get into the market. Took this trade right here, right? It hit, it dropped. I was like, okay, good. We're solid. And then, yeah, we got absolutely it just pushed right through and I took a loss. That whole time I was looking at this, right? As price started to, because it kept, like it didn't just drop. Like you can see this wicks here. So I was watching it and price just went down, came right back up. I was like, I don't know about this. Went back down. It's like, okay. I went right back up. I was like, Jesus Christ. All right. And I did that like 4 or 5 times. So it was like 15, 20 minutes of that nonsense. Well, not that much. It was like, I don't know, 8 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes of that. right? So yeah, and then we got this huge candle back up, and then price pushed back down. As soon as price pushed back down after this big candle up right here, I was like, I looked at this a little bit deeper to figure out like maybe this is the POI for me. So then we did that. I was like, how can I justify this? It's like I'm having a hard time justifying it, to be honest. And excuse me, sorry. All right, so I had this. This was my new liquidity. I said to myself, look, if price gets into this here, because this is actually part of the POI, right? Both that one I just deleted and this 15-minute POI, I really want to get in short because I do think it's going to come take this low. I just threw the risk on, right? So here, price came up to this point right there, right? Again, this is like a C setup, right? Because I don't have the best setup, right? I have a reaction here, but the only reaction I've got it coming off of is basically this entire demand right here, right? So again, it's not the best. It doesn't change the fact that it's still the setup. I still get the reaction. It's just not great, right? And I know this, right? I'm well aware of this, but I really wanted to get in short, so I got in short, right? All right, we took that liquidity, price came down here, and then that's it, right? When it left this zone, right, I didn't have a good break-even point. So what I did was, as soon as we took this low out here, with this closure, right, I then broke it even, right? Because again, I figured if we're breaking structure to the downside, that if price were to come back up, then it's probably going to just take this high out because that demand's holding, right? So from there, right, we just held and we continued down, right? Once I got in the second time, right, that was pretty much my last trade. This one was either my 1% loss, this would have been my 2% loss, which would have been my max for the day, and then that would have been it. So I get in, I leave it alone, I'm off the charts. I went to breakfast with my wife. We were out for like probably 2 hours or so, and I came back home. I didn't check my phone, I didn't do anything, right? I had auto break even because of Magic Keys, and yeah, profit was hit, right? Again, not the best trade, right? It's just not the best trade. I like this trade better, but this didn't have quite the liquidity, right? I forced that liquidity maybe a little bit too much. This was the liquidity for this POI here. This was a part of this supply chain here. It just made more sense to me at the time, so I took it, right? In hindsight, again, I'd probably journal this as not the best setup, mainly because I don't like the demand reaction, but that's it, right? That's the one thing I'm missing, or one thing I don't really like. Suboptimal. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking.